Deep in the Abbottabad night, 2011, a group of operators hovered over a high-walled compound. They weren't just carrying rifles, they were carrying the culmination of 50 years of failure, engineering, and saltwater testing. One man adjusted his GPN VG18 panoramic night vision goggles, a $65,000 piece of hardware that provided a 95-degree field of view, turning the pitch black into a crisp, wide-angle green landscape. He checked his HK416, a weapon born because the standard American carbine couldn't survive the transition from sea to land. In that moment, the gear wasn't just equipment, it was the only thing separating a successful Tier 1 mission from a catastrophic international incident. The United States Navy SEALs are often defined by their training, but their lethality is dictated by their kit. To understand how they became the world's most effective maritime special operations force, you have to look at the evolution of 45 specific weapons and tools that solved the unique problems of fighting in the surf zone, the desert, and the urban sprawl. The story begins in the swamps of Vietnam with the underwater demolition teams and the newly formed SEAL Teams 1 and 2. In the 1960s, the standard issue M14 was a disaster in the jungle. Too long, too heavy, and firing a round that was overkill for short-range ambushes. The SEALs needed something else. They turned to the Stoner 63. Designed by Eugene Stoner, the man behind the M16, the Stoner 63 was a modular weapon system. It could be a carbine, a top-fed light machine gun, or a belt-fed squad automatic weapon. Weighing only 11.7 pounds in its light machine gun configuration, it gave a three-man SEAL element the firepower of a full infantry platoon. It fired the 5.56 by 45 mm NATO round at a cyclic rate of 700 to 900 rounds per minute. While the rest of the military struggled with the reliability of the early M16, the SEALs were proving that high-volume, small-caliber fire was the future of special warfare. But the jungle wasn't just about firepower, it was about silence. This led to the adoption of the Mark 22 Mod 0, better known as the Hush Puppy. This was a modified Smith & Wesson Model 39 pistol, fitted with a suppressor and a slide lock. The slide lock was critical. It prevented the action from cycling when fired, eliminating the mechanical clang of the metal components. Using 158-grain subsonic 9mm ammunition, the Hush Puppy allowed SEALs to eliminate sentries or guard dogs without alerting the entire Viet Cong camp. It was a niche tool, but it established the SEAL mindset. If the right tool doesn't exist, you build it. As the 1970s transitioned into the 80s, the threat profile shifted from jungle insurgency to maritime counterterrorism. This required weapons that could be submerged in saltwater, dragged through sand, and fired the second the operator broke the surface. Enter the Heckler & Koch MP5, specifically the MP5N, developed specifically for the Navy SEALs. The N stood for Navy. It featured a plastic trigger group with ambidextrous markings and a stainless steel finish to resist the corrosive effects of salt spray. The MP5N weighed 6.8 pounds and fired from a closed bolt, making it incredibly accurate for surgical hostage rescue missions. Its 9mm caliber was perfect for the close quarters of a ship's corridor, where overpenetration of steel bulkheads could be deadly to the team.
However, the MP5 had a weakness. As body armor became more common among terrorists and rogue states, the 9mm round lost its effectiveness. The SEALs needed something that hit harder but remained compact. This led to the development of the Close Quarters Battle Receiver, or CQBR, which eventually became the Mark 18 Mod 0. The engineers took a standard M4A1 and chopped the barrel down to 10.3 inches. This made the weapon only 26 inches long with the stock collapsed. The challenge was gas pressure. Shortening the barrel reduces the dwell time, the amount of time the gas stays in the barrel to cycle the action. The SEALs worked with Crane NSWC to enlarge the gas port to .070 inches, ensuring the weapon would cycle even when fouled by carbon or seawater. The Mark 18 became the gold standard for visit, board, search, and seizure (VBSS) operations. While the Mark 18 handled the close stuff, the SEALs needed a way to reach out further without carrying a heavy bolt-action. The Mark 12 Special Purpose Rifle, or SPR. Built on an M16A1 lower receiver, it featured an 18-inch match-grade stainless steel barrel and used the MK262 open-tip match ammunition. This 77-grain bullet extended the effective range of the 5.56mm platform to over 600 yards. It was the rifle used by Marcus Luttrell's team during Operation Red Wings. It bridged the gap between a standard carbine and a heavy sniper rifle, allowing a SEAL reconnaissance element to stay light while maintaining the ability to pick off targets at distance. But sometimes 5.56mm isn't enough. In the mountains of Afghanistan, the 7.62 by 51mm NATO round regained its crown. The SEALs adopted the Mark 17 SCAR-H. Developed by F.N. Herstal, the SCAR-H weighed 8 pounds empty and provided the stopping power of a battle rifle with the ergonomics of a modern carbine. Its short-stroke gas piston system meant that carbon fouling stayed at the front of the weapon, away from the bolt carrier group, significantly increasing reliability in dusty environments. The SCAR-H's ability to swap barrels in the field, changing from a 13-inch close-quarters barrel to a 20-inch sniper barrel in minutes, made it a favorite for teams who didn't know if they'd be clearing a house or engaging targets across a valley. For even more range, the SEALs rely on the Mark 13 Mod 7. This is a bolt-action rifle chambered in .300 Winchester Magnum. Unlike the standard Army M24, which used the 7.62mm round, the Mark 13 gave SEAL snipers an effective range of 1,300 yards. The Mod 7 version is built on an Accuracy International chassis with a suppressed 26-inch barrel. It's the weapon that made Chris Kyle one of the most lethal snipers in history. The .300 Win Mag round travels at nearly 3,000 feet per second, carrying enough kinetic energy to punch through light vehicle armor at distances where the target can't even hear the shot. Then there is the heavy metal. When a SEAL team needs to break contact or suppress a superior force, they reach for the Mark 48 machine gun. In the past, they used the Mark 43, a modified M60, but it was prone to jamming and heavy. The Mark 48, developed by FN, is essentially a Mark 46, the 5.56mm version, scaled up to fire 7.62. It weighs only 18 pounds. For comparison, the standard M240B machine gun used by the infantry weighs 27 pounds. The Mark 48 gives a SEAL squad the ability to suppress an enemy with 800 rounds per minute of heavy fire, while still being light enough to carry on a dead run through the Hindu Kush.
But a weapon is only as good as its sidearm. For decades, the SIG P226, designated the Mark 25, was the SEAL's sidearm of choice. It earned this spot after the 1980s pistol trials, where the Beretta M9 was adopted by the rest of the military. The SEALs experienced catastrophic slide failures with the Beretta, so they stuck with the SIG. The Mark 25 is a double-action, single-action pistol with a 15-round capacity. Its carbon steel slide is treated with a phosphate coating to survive the transition to a dry-land gunfight. However, in recent years, the SEALs have largely transitioned to the Glock 19, designated the Mark 27. The Glock's simplicity, lighter weight, and consistent trigger pull made it more practical for modern Tier 1 operations. Moving beyond traditional firearms, the SEALs utilize specialized tools that seem like they belong in a museum but are still devastatingly effective. The M79 grenade launcher, nicknamed the Thumper or the Pirate Gun, dates back to Vietnam. While the rest of the military moved to under-arrow launchers like the M203, many SEALs prefer the standalone M79. They often saw off the stock and barrel to create a massive 40mm handgun that can lob high-explosive or fragmentation rounds into a window from 150 yards away. It provides immediate, portable, indirect fire that an underbarrel launcher can't match for speed and ease of use. For maritime insertion, the equipment becomes even more specialized. The LARV Draeger rebreather is perhaps the most iconic piece of SEAL kit. Unlike standard scuba gear, which releases bubbles that can be seen on the surface, the LARV is a closed-circuit system. It scrubs the carbon dioxide from the diver's breath and replaces it with pure oxygen. It's silent, bubble-free, and allows a SEAL to swim underwater for hours, undetected, to plant mines on a ship's hull or conduct a beach recon. Above the water, they use the Combat Rubber Raiding Craft, or CRCR, often called the Zodiac. This isn't just a raft, it's a multi-chambered, reinforced boat capable of carrying 8 fully armed operators and a 55-horsepower outboard motor. It can be dropped from a C-130 Hercules transport plane or launched from a submarine. The CRCR is the bridge between the sea and the shore, a low-profile platform that is difficult to detect on radar. When the mission requires more speed and firepower on the water, they turn to the SOC-R, or Special Operations Craft Riverine. This boat is designed for short-range insertion and extraction in riverine environments. It's 33 feet long and powered by twin Yanmar diesel engines and Hamilton water jets, allowing it to operate in just 2 feet of water. It carries a staggering amount of firepower for its size. 2 Gao U-17 miniguns capable of firing 3,000 rounds per minute, 2 M240B machine guns, and 2 M2 heavy machine guns. When a SOC-R arrives to pick up a SEAL team under fire, it provides a wall of lead that few enemies can stand against. But what about the weapons that aren't guns? The SEALs are masters of breaching. The Broco torch is a thermal cutting tool that burns at over 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
It can cut through steel doors, hinger pins, or padlocks in seconds. For more violent entries, they use the Remington 870 MCS, Modular Combat Shotgun. While it can be used for combat, SEALs primarily use it with breaching rounds, shells filled with powdered metal that disintegrate deadbolts and hinges without sending lethal shrapnel into the room. To coordinate all this, the SEALs use the ANPRC 148M BITR, Multiband Intra-Team Radio. It's a handheld waterproof radio that allows an operator to talk to his teammates on the ground, the pilots in the air, and the command center thousands of miles away via satellite. In the chaos of a gunfight, communication is the most powerful weapon in the inventory.
As we move into the 21st century, the HK416 has become the primary workhorse of the SEALs, specifically at the Naval Special Warfare Development Group, or DevGRU. The 416 solved the one remaining problem of the M4 platform, the direct impingement gas system. In an M4, hot gas and carbon are blown directly into the bolt carrier. If you take an M4 out of the ocean and fire it, the water trapped in the gas tube can cause the barrel to burst or the action to fail. The HK416 uses a solid op-rod gas piston. It is over-the-beach rated, meaning it can be submerged, drained for a few seconds, and fired reliably. It's the rifle that killed Osama bin Laden, and it remains the pinnacle of carbine technology. But the 416 is often paired with another HK masterpiece, the MP7A1. Chambered in the 4.6 by 30mm cartridge, the MP7 is a personal defense weapon. It's smaller than a submachine gun, but because its rounds are tipped with hardened steel, it can penetrate level 2 IA body armor at 200 meters. For a SEAL dog handler or a medic, the MP7 provides rifle-like lethality in a package that can be holstered like a pistol. We also have to look at the hidden weapons, the optics and lasers that allow SEALs to own the night. The LA5/PEQ is a high-power laser aiming device. It emits an infrared beam that is invisible to the naked eye, but looks like a lightsaber under night vision. This allows an operator to aim his weapon without ever putting his eye to the sights, a critical advantage in fast-moving close-quarters combat. Combined with the EOTech SU-231 holographic sight, which provides a 65 MOA circle for fast target acquisition, the SEAL can engage targets in a fraction of a second. For long-range surveillance and target interdiction, the SEALs use the Mark 15 sniper rifle, a bolt-action .50 caliber beast based on the Macmillan TAC-50. This isn't for anti-personnel work, it's for anti-material. It's used to disable engine blocks, communications dishes, or parked aircraft from over a mile away. The world record for the longest confirmed sniper kill was held by a Canadian JTF-2 sniper using this exact rifle, hitting a target at 3,540 meters. The SEALs use it to dominate the battle space before they ever set foot in the compound. In the realm of explosives, the M18A1 Claymore mine remains a staple. It's a curved plastic case filled with C4 and 700 steel balls. When detonated, it creates a kill zone in a 60-degree arc, 50 meters wide. SEALs use them for breaking contact. If they are being pursued by a larger force, they set a claymore to delay the enemy, giving them the window they need to reach an extraction point. Then there is the M320 grenade launcher, which is slowly replacing the M203 and M79. The M320 can be attached to a rifle or used as a standalone weapon. Its side-loading breech allows it to fire longer, non-lethal, or specialized rounds that wouldn't fit in the old M203. It's more accurate, featuring a day-night sight that accounts for the high-arcing trajectory of the 40mm grenade. The SEAL arsenal also includes the Mark 46 Mod 0, a lightweight version of the M249 SAW. It was designed specifically for Navy special warfare. By removing the vehicle mounting lugs and the magazine well, leaving it belt-fed only, the engineers shaved off several pounds. It features a fluted barrel for better cooling and a Picatinny rail system for optics. It allows a SEAL to put 750 rounds per minute of 5.56 millimeters downrange while remaining mobile enough to clear a building. In the heavy lift category, the SEALs use the M3 Maus, the Carl Gustaf recoilless rifle. This is an 84mm man-portable, reusable system that can fire high-explosive, anti-tank, or smoke rounds. While the Army just recently made this standard issue, the SEALs have been using it for decades. It gives a small team the ability to take out a bunker or a light armored vehicle from 1,000 meters away. For silent, non-ballistic work, the SEALs have been known to carry the Winkler belt knife. Designed by Daniel Winkler, who provided the knives for the film The Last of the Mohicans, this is a no-nonsense tool made from 80 CRV2 carbon steel. It's not for show. It's a breaching tool, a survival knife, and a weapon of last resort. It represents the primitive side of the SEALs, the realization that no matter how much tech you have, sometimes you need a sharp piece of steel.
The weapons list wouldn't be complete without the M240L. This is the lightweight version of the legendary M240 machine gun. By using a titanium receiver and a shorter barrel, the weight was dropped to 22 pounds. It fires the 7.62mm round at 600 rounds per minute and is arguably the most reliable machine gun in the world. For a SEAL platoon, the 240L is the big stick that keeps the enemy's head down while the team maneuvers. Then there is the Benelli M4, designated the M1014. This is a semi-automatic 12-gauge shotgun that uses a unique auto-regulating gas-operated, or ARGO, system. It features two stainless steel self-cleaning pistons. It's incredibly reliable and can fire 8 rounds of 00 buckshot in under 2 seconds. While shotguns have limited range, in the tight confines of a ship's engine room, the M1014 is devastating. To carry all this, the SEALs use the Eagle Industries 6094 plate carrier. It's a modular vest designed to hold level 4 ceramic ballistic plates, which can stop multiple hits from 7.62mm armor-piercing rounds. The 6094 was designed with input from the SEALs themselves, featuring cable routing for radios and a quick-release system in case the operator falls into deep water and needs to shed his gear to swim. For maritime interdiction, the SEALs use the Mark 8 SDV, SEAL Delivery Vehicle. This is a wet submersible, meaning the operators inside are in their wetsuits and breathing from the vehicle's air supply or their own rebreathers. It's launched from a dry deck shelter on the back of a nuclear submarine. It can carry a team of 6 SEALs into a harbor, allow them to conduct their mission, and return them to the sub without ever being detected. In terms of sidearms, we should also acknowledge the Remington 870 with a pistol grip, often carried in a scabbard on the operator's back. This is used almost exclusively for breaching. By using T-rounds, frangible copper, the operator can blow out a door lock and immediately transition back to his primary rifle. The SEALs also use the AT-4, a 84mm unguided, man-portable, single-shot recoilless smoothbore weapon. It's cheap, disposable, and effective against light tanks and structures. It's the disposable version of the Carl Gustaf, often carried when a team expects to encounter enemy armor but doesn't want the weight of a reusable system. We also have the Mark 44 minigun, often mounted on SEAL transport vehicles or helicopters. It's an electrically powered Gatling gun that fires the 7.62mm round at a staggering 3,000 rounds per minute. It doesn't just suppress the enemy, it shreds the environment they are hiding in. For reconnaissance, the SEALs use the Scan Eagle UAV. Launched by a catapult, it can stay airborne for over 20 hours, providing high-resolution video and infrared imagery. It allows a SEAL commander to see over the next hill or monitor a target compound in real time before the ground team moves in. One of the more specialized items is the Dragon Eye Micro UAV. This was an early attempt at giving small units their own overhead eyes. It was hand-launched and could be packed into a backpack. While it has been replaced by newer systems like the Raven and the Puma, it paved the way for the drone-integrated battlefield the SEALs operate in today. To light up the night when they want to be seen, or to overwhelm an enemy, they use the Surefire Scout Light. These are high-output LED lights mounted to the rails of their rifles. They produce upwards of 1,000 lumens, which is enough to temporarily blind anyone looking in the direction of the beam, giving the SEAL a half-second advantage in a room entry.
The SEALs also utilize the M32 multiple grenade launcher. This is a semi-automatic, revolver-style launcher that holds 6 40mm grenades. It can empty its cylinder in less than 3 seconds, covering an area the size of a football field in high explosives. It's often used in the point man or tail gunner role during patrols in high-threat areas. For extreme long range, the SEALs have experimented with the Chaytak M200 intervention in .408 caliber. This rifle is designed for a specific niche, hitting human-sized targets at over 2,000 yards. It uses a proprietary cartridge that maintains supersonic flight beyond 2,000 meters, avoiding the transonic turbulence that makes other rounds inaccurate at that distance. Finally, we look at the HK417, the 7.62mm version of the .416. While many SEALs prefer the SCAR H, the .417 is favored by some for its identical manual of arms to the .416. It's often used as a recce rifle, fitted with a high-power optic and a suppressor, providing the team with a semi-automatic sniper capability that can still be used in a close-quarters firefight. Each of these 45 items, from the low-tech pirate gun to the high-tech GPNV G18s, represents a specific solution to a lethal problem.
The SEALs became unstoppable not because they have the most expensive gear, but because they have the most specialized gear. They don't use general-purpose equipment. They use tools that have been modified, broken, and rebuilt through decades of combat. The central tension of Navy SEAL equipment has always been the battle against the elements. Salt water destroys electronics, sand jams rifles, the night hides the enemy. By relentlessly pursuing technology that overcomes these three factors, the SEALs have created a kit that allows them to operate in environments where other forces simply cannot survive. But here is the thing, the kit is changing again. The next generation of SEAL weaponry is focusing on signature management. This means not just suppressors for sound, but flash hiders for infrared signatures and frequency-hopping radios that are nearly impossible to jam or track. The future of the SEALs lies in the digital shadow, the ability to appear, strike, and disappear without leaving a single electronic or acoustic trace. As the nature of warfare shifts towards near-peer conflict against nations with advanced radar and thermal sensors, the gear will evolve once more. The HK416 might be replaced by a weapon firing the new 6.8mm Remington Special Purpose cartridge. The GPN VG-18s will likely be replaced by digital enhanced vision that overlays map data and friendly force locations directly onto the operator's retina. The weapons and tools we've discussed are the reason the SEALs have dominated the last 50 years of conflict. They are the physical manifestation of a philosophy that says, find the hardest environment on Earth and then find a way to own it. The gear doesn't make the man, but the right gear ensures the man lives long enough to finish the mission. As long as there is a need for small teams to do the impossible, there will be engineers at Crane NSWC and operators in the field, pushing the limits of what a weapon can do. The era of the Hush Puppy and the Stoner 63 may be over, but the mindset that adopted them is more alive than ever. In the dark corners of the world, there is a SEAL checking his laser, adjusting his rebreather, and chambering around in a rifle that was built to survive the ocean. That is the reality of the tip of the spear. It isn't just about the person holding the weapon. It's about the weapon that was built to never let that person down.